Hi, this is Daryl Myatt from Keller, Texas. Today is Thursday, April 22nd, 2010. Let's look at what's going on over in the Middle East. Seems to be where I focus most of my stories. Anyway, today is the day that Iran begins their war games in the Persian Gulf oil route, and you can find this story at yahoo.com. This is out of Tehran. Iran's elite Revolutionary Guard held war games today in the strategic Persian Gulf oil route, the Hormuz Strait, a show of its military strength at a time when the country's leaders are depicting President Barack Obama's new nuclear policy as a threat. Ahead of the military maneuvers, Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khomeini accused Washington of trying to dominate the world through its nuclear arsenal and vowed that Iran would not bend before what he called implicit atomic threats. He was referring to Obama's announcement earlier this month of a new nuclear strategy that focuses less on Cold War threats and more on preventing the spread of weapons. And as part of those guidelines, Washington vowed not to use its arsenals against nations that don't have their own nuclear weapons, with the exception of countries that are not abiding by international non-proliferation rules. The caveat, the administration said, meant Iran and North Korea, even though we know North Korea has nukes. They've tested some nukes, so we're assuming they do, and Iran is very close to having some. But apparently it doesn't matter that they don't, because regardless, Obama made it clear he could still attack these nations with nukes if he needed to. Not that he would, I don't know. Let's see, so they're holding these military maneuvers. It's dubbed the Great Prophet in the waters of the Persian Gulf to show off its military capabilities and serve as a warning of consequences if the United States or Israel attack Iran's nuclear facilities. Iran leaders have said in the past that if they were attacked, the country would respond by shutting off the Strait of Hormuz, the mouth of the Gulf, through which about 40% of the world's oil and gas supply passes, as well as by attacking American bases in the Gulf. So, we see some tensions building up, and, if you read the Bible, Psalm 83, Ezekiel 38, Revelation, it all speaks of these wars that will be over in that area, and we could see some of them come about quite soon, it looks like. Here's another story out of WorldNetDaily.com, WND.com. Obama is pushing Israel to carve up Jerusalem. Sources say U.S. demanding unprecedented gesture as precondition for talks. Here we go again. The Obama administration is pushing Israel to hand the Palestinian Authority full control of a major neighborhood in Jerusalem as a so-called confidence-building gesture to jumpstart Israeli PA negotiations. According to sources in both the PA and in the office of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, the Obama administration has demanded the following from Israel as confidence-building gestures toward the Palestinians ahead of any negotiations. Okay, so we're not even negotiating yet, and here's what Obama wants Israel to do. Okay, Israel must scale back roadblocks and checkpoints in the strategic West Bank to near the levels prior to the Palestinian Intifada, which started in September 2000. Okay, so we want you to let more terrorists with bombs and explosives strapped on coming right through, okay? Yeah, it's a good idea. Israel must release about 2,000 Palestinian prisoners from Israeli jails. Really? 2,000? Okay, most of these people have Jewish blood on their hands. They're killers. Okay? What about the one Israeli soldier, Gilad, that the PA has had for 4 years? What about that one guy? Why don't you release him? Just saying. Just a thought. They want Israel to release 2,000 prisoners, most of whom are terrorists, have killed women and children and innocent people. Oh, this makes me sick. Okay, Israel must ease its siege of the Hamas-controlled Gaza Strip. Israel turn over to the PA full control of key West Bank cities that are currently under security control of Israel due to threats. Whole cities, yeah, just give them to the PA. You know, it's a goodwill gesture. But we haven't even negotiated yet. The Obama administration is asking Israel to transfer to the PA the town of Abu Dis, a largely Arab neighborhood in eastern Jerusalem that borders key Jerusalem roadways and is home to about 12,000 residents. Some Arab homes in the neighborhood are built illegally on Jewish-owned land. Of course, Netanyahu will strongly oppose this demand. He's saying that only negotiations can determine the future borders of Jerusalem. This drives me nuts watching this happen. I feel like I'm dreaming. It's kind of like, you ever seen The Wizard of Oz? And Dorothy has the dream that she's in the land of Oz. I feel like I'm in the land of Ozbama. I don't know. It's just kind of weird. I can't believe our president is so going against our best friend in the Middle East, Israel. Okay, here's a report out of IsraelNationalNews.com. PM turns down Obama demand to stop building. So basically today, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has rejected demands by U.S. President Barack Obama that Israel stop building in most of the city. Netanyahu said, no. We'll do some goodwill gestures, such as releasing terrorists and smugglers, but we will not stop building. And he said, however, Israel will continue to build in all parts of the city as previous governments did. Way to go, Netanyahu. You stand up for what's right. Okay, I want to talk to you today about, there's a parable Jesus said, the parable of the talents. And you can follow along with this in Matthew 25, verse 14. I'm going to read parts of it to you. I'm not going to read the whole thing for timing. But here's Jesus talking. He says, again, it'll be like a man going on a journey. Now, he's talking about the kingdom of heaven. This man goes on a journey who called his servants and entrusted his property to them. To one he gave 5 talents of money, to another 2 talents, and to another 1 talent, each according to his ability. Key there, God gives talents according to your abilities. Then he went on his journey. The man who had received the 5 talents went at once and put his money to work and gained 5 more. So also the one with 2 gained 2 more. But the man who had received the 1 talent went off, dug a hole in the ground, and hid his master's money. After a long time the master returned. The man who had 5 talents brought the other 5. Master, you entrusted me with 5. See, I've gained 5 more. His master replied, well done, good and faithful servant. These should be the words we all strive to hear from our great God and Savior. He says, you have been faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Come and share your master's happiness. The man with the 2 talents said, Master, you gave me 2. See, I've gained 2 more. Again, well done, good and faithful servant. Then the man who had received the 1 said, Master, I knew you were a hard man, harvesting where you had not sown, and gathering where you had not gathered seed. So I was afraid and went out and hid your talent in the ground. See, here's what belongs to you. His master replied, you wicked, lazy servant. So you knew that I harvest where I do not sow, and gather where I have not gathered seed. Well then, you should have put my money on deposit with the bankers, so that when I returned I would have received it back with interest. Take the talent from him, and give it to the one who has the 10, for everyone who has will be given more, and he will have an abundance. Whoever does not have, even what he has will be taken from him. And throw that worthless servant outside into the darkness, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Okay, sounds like a pretty harsh master, don't you think? Language can be a strange thing. You can use a few words to say a lot, or a lot of words to say basically nothing at all. Now, Jesus was good at doing both. Nobody had the ability to pack as much information with a few words like he did. Like in Matthew 22:21, when Jesus said, give unto Caesar what is Caesar, and give to God what is God's. But at the same time, he was great at constructing a storyline that was designed to drive home a single point. And here Jesus is describing the ideals and the qualities of God's kingdom. He goes into this parable about the man who entrusts his talents, which was a weight of precious metal equal to about $1,000. And he gave it to 3 of his servants before leaving on a journey, and When the master returned, he called them together to give an account of what they did. Okay, the first two were commended for their faithfulness and rewarded with more. The other servant, though, was chastised and severely punished, and it sounds like he was basically thrown into the pits of hell almost. So all of this points to one simple truth for those of us who have a heart for God's kingdom. Be faithful, no matter what. No matter what you're going through, loss of a job, loss of a house, loss of a loved one, remain faithful to God. All things work together for the good of those who trust in God, okay? No matter how long our master seems to be gone, we need to be faithful with what he's entrusted to us, because the day will come when he returns and he calls us to give an account of what we've done. So, I ask you, what are you doing with the gifts and talents God gave you? God bless you. Good Lord willing, I'll see you tomorrow.